Being a business owner can be lonely. It's one person against the world, and building a community around you could be the difference between success and failure. Feeling a little lonely and wondering how to build a community around you? Today's show is for you. Welcome to the KeyHire Small Business Podcast. I'm Corey Harlock, and I'll be your host today. I'm the creator of KeyHire, where we help small business scale. Before we dive in, just have a couple quick favors to ask of our listeners. If you're getting insight from the show, and I know some people are, we're getting over 10,000 listens a week at this point. Thank you, everyone, for that. It's an amazing number. But I'm hoping you can do one or all of the following. First one is whatever platform you're listening on. If you're on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, if you could hit the subscribe or follow, help us build the platform, man, I would appreciate that. Or share the episode with someone who you think might get value from it. We'd love that too. Number two, send us a message and let us know if there's topics you want out there, or let us know what you think of the show. And it's really easy. If you're on your handheld device, scroll down to the show notes. And the first line of the show notes says, text us your comments or topic ideas for future shows. Hit that, voice to text, hit send, we'll get it, and we'll use it or we'll read it on the show, which is cool. Or you can connect with me directly on LinkedIn. Just hit Corey Harlock, connect, send your connection request, and I'll gladly accept that. Got some interesting feedback from our show last week on nearshoring. Daniel Rahan on LinkedIn thought the show was really cool, and it's something he uses. And he said he has a real simple mental model that he uses with clients, which is who times where. He said they don't care about location; they just want to find the right people to do the job. And nearshoring is an option, obviously, that they've used in the past. Rob Riggs also commented on LinkedIn, and he thought that it was a great point, the differentiator between offshore and nearshore. And how dollar savings often cost more in time and stress than they do in real dollars. So Daniel and Rob, thanks for commenting. I appreciate it. Now on with the show. We have LaGina Harris with us today. She's the founder and CXO of the US Space, where they transform underutilized work and meeting spaces into ecosystems for growth, offering co-working, private meetings, training sessions, incubation support, and community-driven programming. And today we're going to be talking about how to build a community. So Matt, let's bring on LaGina.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Great to see you again.
You as well. Yeah, since we're both here in Houston, the weather's good today.
I know it is. It's beautiful. Actually, I just walked my dog before this episode, and it's beautiful. You might see him walking around in the background here. He's a little mini furry bear walking around there. So,
got it. I have a turtle, so
it's hard to take a turtle for a walk. Awesome.
Maybe when I was younger.
Yeah. So we're here in Houston, and you mentioned in your description there's incubator and all kinds of cool stuff. So we're talking about community, solopreneur here, sometimes lonely sitting in your home office, no one to talk to, right? So we always like to start with definitions. So when you talk about building a community as a small business owner, what do you mean by that?
Building a community as a small business owner, I feel like I talk about this a lot, and I think that it's multifaceted, right? Because a community has to equal your brain and your feeling and your needs. And one of the things I did is, I know we're going to dive into this kind of stuff later, but customer discovery, right? You have to understand who you're serving. And one of the things when I was building out the US Space was there a need? And so I started asking people, and one of the common denominators that came up was isolation and feeling lonely. And how do you directly combat that? You have people you can talk to, hang out with, understand you. And, I know we've had conversations in the past, and one of them was about the fact that sometimes you need a business community, because that's way different than your social community at some point. So I think when you're understanding community, it's really understanding the root of how it starts and the need that you have for what you're building.
Mm-hmm. I think you made a really important point about making sure they are the right people. Entrepreneurs So we did a show way back when about the entrepreneurial brain and how it's actually wired different, and how, and I don't know what the stats were, but they were crazy around how many people were on the spectrum and had really high empathy, right, to be a small business owner. And I don't know about you, but in the past, I've fallen into the trap where one of my favorite blog posts ever is Seth Godin, and it's named "Who Will Say Go." Go Google it. But he basically says,
"Who will say go?"
Very few people have the courage to create something and put it out into the world, right? To be critiqued, but everyone thinks they can be a proofreader, meaning everyone can feels like they know how to critique ideas. And taking ideas from people that have no skin in the game is often a dangerous proposition. You know, everyone's wants to give you this great advice, and if you were to say, "Yeah, okay, that's going to cost me $10,000 to implement. Can you give me 10 grand?" They're going to go, "No." Okay, well, it's great. You won't even invest in your own idea, right? So I like the idea that you brought up about in your personal life, you should have your community that you can go to, but in your business world, those are often different people.
Mm-hmm. And you get the break too, right? Because my business community is one thing, but I enjoy having my non-business community too, so that I can pause. And they're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just building my business." And a lot of times they stop at that, right? Because they really understand that I have my community that, for me, luckily I built it, the us space, right? And my mentors. And so when I need to pause and dive in, or pause and not dive in for my mental health, I have the ability to do that. So community is important, multifaceted. And as you said, for like a solopreneur, it comes more into play because we won't even go down the dynamics of co-founders and having boards and stuff, because that's a whole nother level. Right. But you can really get in your head and get lost in thoughts and ideas sometimes. And just being able to stand up from your desk and walk over and get some coffee, and somebody from the us space is there working for the day and they happen to do CEO strategies, and you're like, "Hey, I have a quick question."
Right.
And you can ask this quick question for $0 in coffee cents. It's like, yes, it's kind of like this. It's a hack to getting some insight into some really amazing people. So I really enjoy not only the idea of community or the implementation, but like the execution of what that really can look like.
And you said something, you know, when people say, "How are you?" You say, "Oh, just busy." And people stop there because they understand you need space. I immediately thought people stop there because they really don't care. They're only thinking about themselves anyway, and they don't care about your struggles. They got their own. But, you know, so we talked about, you know, you can office in a community, but people that listen to the show understand I'm a big Vistage proponent. And to me, that's my community, right? Because I meet with them once a month, and those are my people, and they know all the good, bad, and the ugly about me. And we have those people in there too. So, what are your thoughts on, you know, communities can take different forms?
Communities can take a lot of different forms. So I talk about good ego and bad ego a lot. And when you're building communities, when you're building ecosystems, you really take a lot of stuff on the chin, especially if you create a community where people can say what they want to say and tell you how they feel, and you've been to it. Like, people are like, "I don't like these snacks." You're like, "Done, snacks changed." There needs to be more walls of this color, or I can't enter this way, or the chairs need to face a different direction, or I need more. Like, you really have to take it on. And I'm like, "But I thought of everything," but you didn't think of the thing that
you
you're
thought of everything in your way, and they're thinking
in my way,
their way, right? Because they want what's best for them.
Yeah. And so I was chuckling because you did an episode a while back. It's called Key Owner Stages and the Overwhelming Business Owner.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, I laughed through the whole episode, not because it's hilarious being a business owner, but because, like, once a week I have this conversation with one of my really good friends. It's a business owner, just around, who the hell do you hire? How do you let go? And I talk about, you know, moving into like this CEO or CXO state from being the founder that found it, right? And so it was so funny because you were talking about, you used a baseball analogy about you don't need to hit a home run. You just need to hit singles the whole time.
Or single.
And I was like, this is perfect because I told you I played collegiate softball. So I was like, I get this. Why? I mean, you were teaching me while I was trying to, do my op-ed so I could be a great guest. But I was like, yeah, that's community too. You don't need to hit a home run because the community is going to change and adapt even with the weather or the times. But you need to just strategically, one thing at a time, answer that need. Right now, the US space is moving to a space management system, and we're onboarding all our stuff we've done manually, but it needs to be automated because we have more members requesting more things.
Sure.
And I logged it one week, and I was spending about 35 hours of my week doing stuff that could be automated. And so I had to leverage, like, is this worth the investment? And I talked to some of my community, my mentor community, and I was like, oh God, I need to do this ASAP. So I loved your analogy about I just need singles. That's all I did in college anyways, was singles.
Right. Yeah. So you just mentioned mentor community, which is another form of surrounding yourself with the right people. Talk a little bit more about that.
They're everything. I talk about them with everything. But particularly for the US space, what I did is I created the Founders Triangle. Like, the US space is a for-profit, it's membership based. It's also where you can get subscription based, right? So I was like, I need people that are intricately woven into the US space, but also understand my brain and what I'm trying to, or what I am building out. Right. And I created a Founders Triangle. So they do an initial investment, and then there's all the kind of perks that they get with it. But they're also the people that, when I'm doing partnership agreements or I'm doing space prospecting, they surround me as a community, and we sit. One of them, I sit once a quarter with her, and I do ops and logistics strategy stuff with the US space, which is interesting because I do that in my private company, Luray Infinity, for people all the time. But it's very challenging doing that stuff for yourself. 100%. So activating my mentor community that doesn't only look like me, but thinks like me, or really appreciates how I move, is so important. And sometimes they're just the person that is a kind word in all of this cloudy space that sometimes comes from entrepreneurship.
Yeah. So you sound like you're like heavy visionary, lots of ideas, and then you need someone to kind of wrangle it, find the good ones. I have a client who always says, I come up with 100 ideas a day. My leader's job is to find the one or two good ones and execute on those. Right. So, and so we all need people that kind of hold us down and go, that's, or good idea, not the right time. I'm like you too. I think many entrepreneurs or solopreneurs are idea generators, and that it's just so hard to execute on. It's hard to filter through to see which are the good ideas and when you should execute on them.
Yeah,
and then
for sure.
Executing on them while you're trying to run your business.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point earlier. Basically, entrepreneurs in some way are creatives, right? They are creatives. I could arguably say that everybody has some form of ADHD, ADD, whatever. And so some type of neurodivergency. And so what I really love about the US space, it's like, for the ADHD person in all of us, right? You can go from a traditional office space to the wellness area and walk on the treadmill while you're working, or you can come into like our other side of the suites where it's wide open and there's couches. So I think that's one of those unique parts of community, because we've talked a lot about people in community, but the type of physical space that community provides when it's intentional is really unique. And I have been very mindful when building this out that the US space voice is of that intentionality of meeting the needs of multiple people in multiple phases of business and in industry.
Right. Okay. So then we always like to move into mistakes or what can happen to how do I phrase this?
Just say it.
Well, as a business owner, if I don't surround myself with a community, that would be a mistake. And then what are some of the things that can come from not having community around? So What are the downfalls of not having a community as a solopreneur or a small business owner?
Just to start off with what we were talking about before, is you get in your own head and in your own way. I was recently asked, what's the biggest challenge about being a business owner? And all roads point to me.
Yeah.
And that's something very challenging to say, because when you own your own stuff, you have to take ownership of it all. So that's one of the biggest challenges, is getting out of your own way. And it comes in multiple ways. It's not just you're scared to do something, or you say no, or you pick the wrong time. It's all these levels of it. And so one of the biggest challenges or pieces of advice I have for somebody is to really get to know yourself and your leadership style and your communication style. And moreover, all the gaps of the things that you don't know and can't do. I think that is one of the things that you can lack if you don't have community, because your blind spots stay blind. And when you have community, especially honest community, because I say that when you walk into the us space, you're going to get a warm hug. And you know how sometimes like your grandma or your auntie or somebody that hugs you and is like, that was really good, don't do it again.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get that. And so I think that can be one of the missteps or mistakes, if you will, of not having community. And if you ever want free marketing, you get a community of people that know what you do and believe in you as a person, because we all know that at the end of the day, we are a world of conscious consuming for the most part. And people want to know who the founder is, how they are, what they do they laugh, are they nice, do they care, all those things. And so if you have a community of people that know who you are and what you do and what you stand for and what your business is about, it's like having free marketing, and it's validation. And that's one of like the pillars that the US Space has, is we have it. It's called professionalism. It's one of our 5 pillars. And it's really around being validated by your community, your peers that are in the space with you, because they know what you do and they can stand up for you when you're not there.
Right. It feels like as well, if you're going to surround yourself by mentors or a group like Vistage, or go to a facility like yours, a shared workspace, you have to, I think the first step sounds like you have to be open. If you go in thinking you're right and thinking, or you're defensive about what you're doing and not doing, none of the options in front of you are really going to be helpful.
Yeah, let's pull that all the way back, because that goes for all business owners, right? We both, through Vistage or the multiple programs here in Houston that I do mentoring and advising for, that's one of the biggest things I see business owners do that is not successful. Like, okay, you entered this program or you walked into this space, and in good faith, let's just automatically assume that the other people on this very tumultuous road understand to a point where if they say something, it's in love and not in hate, right? So if a business owner presents their business and I'm like, what's this? Why is this? Why this? That doesn't make sense. Fix that. And you take offense to it rather than just taking it in, taking what you need and throwing it out. I think that's another misstep as we're talking about it. So yeah, I think you have to come open, and that's challenging. Oh my gosh, because I say it all the time. There's also the discernment of everybody not having an opinion or being able to have the ear of you about your business, right? Because at the end of the day, you are your own expert or your thought leader in your business, but you have to have a level of humility to be like, oh, you're right. I should fix that sentence, or that slide. You're right. I can't see it,
Right. I think that comes with a lot. I end up talking about trust a lot, because you have to build relationships. Just going back to the whole proofreading thing, if I don't know someone and they say, hey, tell me about your business, and I do it, and they start pulling it apart, I'm not going to listen, because I don't know, like, or trust you, and I don't believe you understand what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right. I remember I went to this workshop years ago. These ex-military guys put it together and said it was going to be life-changing. So I went, and it was long, and it was boring, and it was ineffective. But it was like in the last hour, they singled me out about my business. And without knowing anything about my business, they start trying to pull it apart. And I'm like, what are you talking? You have, I'm not comfortable answering your questions because you're showing me you have no idea what I do by the questions you're asking. I was like, you can't do that. Just because you're up front wearing a suit and tie and people signed up to come to your thing, you still have to earn that trust, right? And I think that's true in any case when you're surrounding yourself with people. That's why we generally go to people we know, like, and trust, and ask them to be part of our advisory board or our board of directors or whatever it might be, right? So I think you got to be careful who you ask, but also go to people that you know, like, and trust. Or if you have someone on your radar, build a relationship with them before you ask them for guidance.
Yeah, 100%. I love that you say that because it even takes me back to the us space. I think that when people hear about businesses, because I feel like we're moving toward that iteration of it, sometimes people jump to conclusions instead of asking intelligent questions, right? Because I always talk about the us space being female forward and people of color supporting and welcome to anybody that wants to catch the us space vibe. Everybody that I've ever met that has come in the us space, and this isn't even just from people meeting me and saying it, but everybody's like, it's a vibe in here. There's a vibe. And that's where we came up with the hashtag Catch Us Vibe, because it's a vibe. But the assumption would be because I'm a woman or I'm a person of color, that's why those are the statements. And that's not it at all. It's actually around dollars making sense in business. I listened to my business advisors at the beginning and they're like, well, where's their gap? And so I did customer discovery and I found out that the gap is with people that are opening up businesses at the largest rate. And then the marketing in Flex Third, or if we will, co-working spaces, isn't really geared toward women and people of color. So I was like, oh, there's a gap. Let's do something about it. And then when you're in the walls of the us space, there's something for everything and everybody, and our members look like everything and everybody. So I had to very quickly, what's the new phrase, stand on business and let people know that, this is a professional environment, and the inclusion of what is in here is the magic, and, go with that, and then find people in my community that were able to understand that and help me move the business forward without harping over one or two little nitpicky things that don't actually foundationally stop the business from growing, if that makes sense.
No, I hear you. And I mean, essentially, I did kind of the same thing with KeyHire. I just saw there was a big need for small business owners. Everyone in my niche was targeting the people with tons of money because they could pay the most. And that, unfortunately, isn't always small business owners. So I tried to re-engineer the way we do things so we could offer a service that small business owners need that was going to be fair and equitable on both sides, right? And so that's how KeyHire was truly born, because I'm an entrepreneur and I want to support entrepreneurs, right? So it's cool how that works. I think we've talked about some mistakes. I mean, and being lonely and taking bad advice and all that good stuff. So let's move into maybe some advice. So if someone was out there and they're that person, right? It could be me, it could be anyone. I don't feel like I have a community, and it could be the co-work space. It could be a small business owner who doesn't have a board of people around them, or a professional networking group, or whatever that might look like. What are your top 3 to 5 pieces of advice you would offer them to kind of start down that road?
Okay. My favorite, I say it on LinkedIn a lot. I say it out loud as well. Show up, show up, show up. You have to, and you said something about it that aligns with it, right? You said when you're asking somebody about their business, get to know them first before you do the ask, right? So when you show up, it's show up with a listening ear. show up for yourself, show up in a room. Because when you're thinking about being a solopreneur or working remote or working alone, and then you're like, I put it out all on social media, there is still something to be said about a good old foot to the ground and walking into the space, right? So showing up, and even showing up for yourself, right? It's so funny.
My wife will come home some days and she'll look at me and she'll go, "You didn't leave the house today, did you?" Because I just look grumpy. Like, yeah, yep. No, I did not.
Yep.
No.
And it's one of those things. And it's so funny because I'm an introvert, and I hear a lot of entrepreneurs say they're an introvert. But you were like, what? And so I started talking to entrepreneurs. I said, if you're going to be an introvert and you don't have thousands of millions and hundreds of dollars to pay somebody to be the voice of your company, then you need a business persona, and you need to show up in that business persona, and you need to represent your business. And then you can go in the introvert world if you want to, but have a persona that you use when you show up. And listen first, because 9 times out of 10, if you just start having a one-on-one conversation with somebody and you enjoy the conversation, you're going to find a way to tie in your business or support them in their own business. So that is literally 1 through 3 for that. Show up in all of those different ways. And then another one, I would say, I am a mental health advocate all the time. And is a business owner, whether you're a solopreneur or a mom and pop or whatever you want to call yourself, because, there's no rules in this game, to really take care of yourself, and whatever that looks like. If it means, for me, I try not to take meetings before 10 a.m. And it's not because I'm not working, but my ADHD brain needs time to land. And I need that space. And then on Fridays, I create joy in the moments, and I have fun meetings. And so whatever you need to do in a space of mental health, even if it's blocking off a day on your calendar once a month, do it, because it is so important, because you cannot effectively and strategically run a business if you're mentally not well. And I'm honest about my mental health all the time. Like we're sitting in a 1 to 10 scale. I'm at like a 4 right now. But I'm highly functioning, so I understand. And I keep people around me that make me laugh and chuckle right now so that I can still move and groove, and I talk out loud about it. So that's number 4. And then number 5 is having discernment and trusting yourself is beyond important. So even when you're talking about pivoting, don't be so locked into an idea that it's at the detriment of your business. And then always, have the ability to take that idea and grow it, because just like a plant, you put it in a window and it leans toward the sun. Yeah. And if you turn the plant, it leans again. So things like that, those are like my 1 through 5 is show up, mental health, and then learning your levels of discernment for pivoting.
Right. I would, if I added anything, and you touched on it, it's like, be curious, right? It's like that Ted Lasso quote, be curious, not judgmental, or whatever it is, get to know people. And people love talking about themselves. So when you are, going into a community, whether it's a workspace, a shared workspace, or a networking group, and you're showing up, show up, right? Be curious about other people, and people will see you as someone that's nice and kind and that they want to get to know. But you also will start building that trust. I have a bad habit of getting really curious about things where people will say something and I'll be like, what do you mean by that? And they'll say it and I'll be like, so hold on, how does this work? And I have to often stop myself and say, I'm not being judgmental at all. I'm just super curious about what you just said, and I want to understand it better, right? But I can come off really hot a lot of times, and people are like, whoa, who's this guy drilling me with questions? But I'm like, it's super interesting. I want to understand how this works, and people will be like, tap me on the shoulder, like, buddy, settle down. And I'm like, no,
that happens to me too. I'm just like, I just want to know.
Yeah.
That happens.
I often have to disclaimer. I have to stop myself and say, look, I'm not judging anything here. I'm just really curious about what's going on. So
that's a good one.
Yeah, but that's a great way to start conversations, right? Is just ask people.
And it aligns with that It aligns with the first one, the first show up. And that was the one where I was like, just listen. Because people will come in and they're like, hi, my name's so-and-so and this is what I do. And I'm like, okay.
So we had Melinda Emerson on the show a couple episodes ago.
I listened to the episode.
She came out with the term pitch slap. Don't pitch slap people. Right? Just come in and start pitching everything. She was she was incredible. That line has gotten a lot of play all over the place, which is it's a beauty. It's a great line. So thank you.
Yeah, Melinda was great. Yeah, thank you, Melinda. I was sweating listening to that episode. I was like, I need to do better. I was like, oh my gosh. I had to pause it like 3 times and walk away. I was like, okay, this is good. This is really good.
I know. Just think how it was sitting on this side when she was talking. She brings the heat. So anyway, LaGina, this has been amazing. So if people have been listening to this, they want to learn more about the US Space or any of the other cool stuff you're doing, how can we get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So for the US Space, super easy. Go to the usspace.com and thank you. And everything is right there. You can scroll to the bottom, find all the social medias, and engage. We do a lot of events that are open to the community.
Oh, cool.
We have a work accountability day once a month. And that work accountability day is where you can plug in and power up at the US Space. We will take care of you. And it is free and open to the community. All you have to do is register. And it's really a way for you to experience Flex Third Space in downtown, meet our community, enjoy some good coffee, and be visible. Get out there, try it out, before you join our membership. And then for me, the best way to find me is on LinkedIn. LaGina Harris on LinkedIn. Oh gosh, he's awesome. And engage with me. I love conversations. I love talking to entrepreneurs and supporting people and amplifying people as much as I can, or just connecting you to the right person. So yeah, and I really enjoyed this conversation and our previous conversation. It really just engaged me, and KeyHire has some very, very interesting episodes that I quite have enjoyed.
Awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you so much. I hope you subscribed or are following.
Yeah. So I listen from my browser, but I subscribe from my phone. There you go.
Perfect. I appreciate it. Hey, thanks so much. It's been a blast.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. There you go. LaGina Harris from the US Space. Amazing information and some great tips for everyone in there. So before we sign off, don't forget, do one or all of the following. Make sure you subscribe or follow to the KeyHire Small Business Podcast, whether we're on YouTube or you're on Apple, you're on Spotify. Help us spread the word, even share the episode if you're feeling like it. Secondly, feel free to send us a message, send us a text. At the top of the show notes, there is a live link there, a hot link that says, text us your comments and topic ideas for our future shows. Let us know what you think of the show. Let us know if there's any topics out there. We'd love to hear from you. We're here to serve you, and we want to make sure we're putting the right information out. Thirdly, connect with me on LinkedIn. Just hit Corey Harlock. I'm going to put a link in the show notes here eventually, but find me on LinkedIn and connect. I will gladly accept your connection request. So I hope you enjoyed the episode. I'd like to thank you for listening. Until next time, I'm Corey Harlock from KeyHire. And stop grinding, start growing.